President Cyril Ramaphosa will address the nation tonight on government's response to COVID-19. This comes as the speculation is rife that he will announce tighter lockdown restrictions as South Africa battles the third wave. In the education sector, some teacher and pupil organizations have been calling for schools to close as cases continue to rise. I'm joined now by Matakanye, General Secretary, National Association of School Governing Bodies. Ntate Matakanye, great to speak to you this morning. I suppose the question is, do you think schools should close, and what would be the benefit, if so?
Good morning, Hugo, and good morning to all your listeners. Look, Hugo, the last meeting we had with the minister was that schools are going to close on the 9th. And, well, I think, and the question of the surge was raised, and what it was agreed in that meeting with the minister was that schools can have what we call differentiated approach in closing the schools, but schools are not just going to all of them close. There will be areas where there is really a problem, where the school will use the method that I have already explained. So that's what we know. But any other thing, minister would have consulted us on, but the minister has not consulted on any other thing except the agreement that we had with her in the last meeting that we had.
Well, let's take a look at some of the positives, Ntate Matakanye, and one of those is that teachers, educators are being vaccinated finally.
Yeah, no, then that process is on. Teachers are vaccinated, and we hope by the 8th of July that process will have ended before they close, because what they have put in program is that they have started on the 23rd, and it will end on the 8th of July, and then the following day the schools close, because on the 26th then all the children grade R to grade 7 will be coming back. Then they will find the teachers prepared already to be insulated against the pandemic.
Now, I suppose as an association you're advocating for teachers to be vaccinated. Are you facing any resistance from the educators?
Well, so far we don't have any report of resistance. Well, I believe educators, although I will not really talk on behalf of the educators because I might be seen representing the unions, then Mumalolek and the rest are there to talk about the union, so the educators. But so far we have not yet received a report of resistance.
Now, just coming back to the schools and the minister, you mentioned that the engagement has been solitary by the minister. In what other areas do you think you should be engaged, obviously as a representative body of schools?
Well, maybe we have to talk to the minister about the component of parents in the school governing bodies, because mostly all the components are going to be vaccinated. It's only parent component. Maybe that's the area that going forward we'll also look into and say, Minister, how do you help us probably to complete the component? And that's one part. And then another part is that we want the minister and the department as a whole to strengthen the non-negotiables, even if the teachers will have vaccinated. But we think the community, the children themselves must also be insulated. But we can only insulate learners against this pandemic by practicing the standard operation procedures, where all the PPEs are in place so that really and truly our children should not infect, because once these children are infected, then they'll infect their parents at home. So we want them to strengthen that as well. And also, I think the one other request is the question of the social distancing, because when these children come back on the 26th, then there will be a challenge in terms of the social distancing. So we also want them really to ensure that how best can we protect these children from one another. And we had initiated a question of shielding. So we don't know whether by that time they could have done that, so that these children are protected from one another, and they also protect the teachers, because we don't want to say because teachers have vaccinated, therefore they are waterproof tight. Then we still have to practice the standard operation procedures, so that we kept this pandemic against the teachers, against the learners, against the parents who are going into the school, who are getting out of school, so that this surge must not go on in our schools.
Tata Matakanya, you raise an interesting issue around protecting kids even from their parents. In your mind, do you think that the vaccination of teachers should extend to parents of the children in those schools, obviously to avoid possible infection and reinfection?
Really, we would have loved to do that. However, the parents in the school, there are programs outside the school, and maybe the parents that we were talking about is the parents that are within the school governing bodies. They are not that much. They could be 6, they could be 7, only those, because if then you bring the parents from outside, unless if the school is turned into a center where the community, because generally it will be a problem of Department of Health. But in this instance, we're just looking at the education sector, and in this time then we're looking at the teachers particularly. But going forward, if schools are used probably as centers, well, I don't think it will be a problem. But for now, we are really focusing on the teachers. If we can get the teachers vaccinated, then we'll know that the teachers are out of the danger. Then when these children are coming back, then we'll be able they will be able to be protected against. But at the same time, going forward, then we think that in terms of these children, not infecting their parents, then it's a question of the standard operation procedures, where there must be running water in the schools, and these children must be encouraged to continuously wash their hands. Then these children must be encouraged to continuously put on their mask. These children must be encouraged to continuously keep the social distancing, sanitizing, and that will also be our role, to continuously teach, continuously talk to these children about those procedures, to say, please don't lower the guards, keep on making sure that now when you are at school, stop kissing one another, and please keep make sure that the social distancing, put on your mask, wash your hands continuously, and sanitize where it is possible continuously, so that you don't contract this illness. Because once they contract this illness, they are going to contract their parents back home. So that's what we have to do to protect ourselves against the children who will be getting back to school. But at the same time, I think the parents generally, there are programs that are run by the government outside the school. We also encourage them to make sure that they vaccinate at those centers, that the government is organizing for the society, for the whole country to vaccinate, then I think we encourage them to do that as well.
So ideally for you, schools should remain open. But if schools did close, what are some of the challenges that accrue certainly to the kids themselves and obviously to the parents?
You know, when schools are closed, there is serious challenge that face parents, that face kids themselves. Firstly, they don't put the mask. You can see Hugo in the street. They don't put on the mask. There's no social distancing. They don't wash their hands, and nobody is supervising them. And also, in terms of the township, the rural, the deep rural, the poorest, the working class schools, there are a number of children who are enjoying meals at schools. And once the schools are closed, those children do not get those meals anymore. And it's just that the meals are closed out for those children who are perceiving schools as the first home, you know, because when we talk about the first home, it means that you get everything from that home. So our children from schools that have already indicated, they get benefit when they go to school because they eat there, and then if then they don't go to schools, then those are the benefit that they are no more going to get. But at the same time, also a question of education, they miss a lot. These children really, they still need a lot of skills, need of knowledge, need of lot of attitude, values. They need those. But once the schools are closed, they miss that. Then I don't see teachers able to really recover that, you know. For instance, when the schools were to reopen this year, then we had a problem of 9 days. How teachers are going to recover these 9 days? I think we had a meeting with the minister and say we have to really negotiate with labor to how do we recover these 9 days. You see, I mean, I was just talking about 9 days. And what more if it's a month? What more if it's 2 months? Because we really don't know when is this pandemic going to come to an end. We don't know. Nobody knows. Even the scientists do not know. They predict to say no. If you remember, Hugo, last year, then it was said, let schools open in the summer when it is hot, September, October, when it's hot. And when we say school must be opened, you remember when we battled to reopen the school last year, June, the 1st of June, then battling until we open the schools on the 8th of June. But people will say, no. This illness is related to winter, therefore we can't. But in September, if you remember, then we went to the second wave, you know, the variant, we had a lot of waves, variant, second waves, all those things. It was bad at that time where people said, no, this illness is related to winter, therefore we must open schools in summer. And it was worse in summer. But we are saying we don't know when this is really pandemic. So we must just learn to live with this pandemic. And the best way of living the pandemic in the schools is to sanitize, is to wash your hands continuously, is to put on the mask, is to keep social distancing, and to continuously educate the young people.
General Secretary of the National Association of School Governing Bodies, Ntate Matekane, thank you for your time this morning.